Okay, great. Well, Scott, it's great to see you. Hope, how was your weekend? Hope you had a lovely Labor Day.
I honestly wish I could say that. On Labor Day, I actually did more labor than relaxation. But with a growing company, that's what you get, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely understand how that can be. I think I was probably busier yesterday than I have been in a while. So, well, Scott, thanks so much for joining. I'll kind of build kind of how today will go. Essentially, we'll kind of get into your story, how you got started, any sort of industry trends you're seeing, what challenges you faced along the way, future state, and then and then we'll kind of close out and then discuss any sort of next steps if they make sense. So,
Love
how
it.
does that all sound?
I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
All right, sounds great. Hold on, I think I might have a sneeze coming before I
She,
start hitting record. I think I'm waiting for it, but I think it's gone. So great. Scott, thanks so much for jumping on. I'm really excited to dive in here today. Can you share a little bit more about, how you got started, a little bit more about your role in the company?
Absolutely. So, getting started in regards to the wellness space.
Wellness space and how you decided to, start franchising gyms.
Absolutely. So quick pro quo, right? 19 years old, playing college football, earning my degrees, my MBA as well. Just went into Gold's Gym because we had a free membership. I worked out like crazy, but I was likable, right? Chatted with everybody, and owner said you should be a personal trainer. So at 19 years old, that's how it started. Let's go back to franchising, right? When we decided to make the move was circa 2023. We had 10 successful clubs, and we said, hey, we can do this, right? We knew it was scalable at that point. So 2023, we decided to make the epic journey into franchising, with my CEO, Mr. Mike Bell, and we had done a lot of previous work together, even before Aira Fitness was a thought. But we thought we had the team built, and we were ready, set, go in 2023, and past that micro emerging stage now. So we're happy about that.
That's amazing. And if you were to describe a typical day for you, what does that look like?
Oh boy, here we go. So, we're gonna I assume we'll get into this topic, but mental toughness, right? Mental toughness is key. So my day starts at 3 a.m. with routine and structure, right? Open the gyms at 5, personal training and boot camps, and then I go to my various clubs. I happen to be right now the only multi-unit owner. I'm blessed to have three of my own clubs and a fourth I'm partnered on. Midday, get about an hour break, and then it's right back into the grind. The typical 12 to 4 in the fitness industry is a little bit of slow time, so I fully maximize that time on back end business, paperwork, marketing, things of that nature, and then it's right back to the grind from 4 to 7. So it's long hours. At the end of the day, if we're helping people, it's well worth it.
Absolutely. Well, wow, 3 a.m.
Yes.
That is quite the early start. And I mean, I guess, shows your grind and your commitment to the industry. What sort of things have you seen as far as, when it comes to, being in the fitness field, owning and operating a gym? Yeah, I would say let's start with industry trends. What have you seen lately?
Right. So back in the many moons ago, it was all about the product, the equipment when you're inside clubs, right? But now we're seeing likability, right? Engaging your clients, really holding people accountable, because the mental component, and this is where I'm seeing the trends going, and was I'm getting to, right? The physical is going to be there, right? You're physically present with said client, with said member, right? But the mental component, how can we change their routines, change their habits, change their structures? And especially for me in my business and what I'm trying to forecast out to we're blessed to have 35 locations, is if we can change some of those habits on a mental capacity, mental component, um, that outcome, input versus output as well, it's going to be exponential, right? So I think the trend is really going to the mental toughness side of things. building those routines, changing habits, and giving them more structure in their personal life, right? And our most valuable asset is really time, right? So how can we maximize their time to say, hey, I can make it to the gym today for 45 minutes, right? I just have to put it in my schedule.
Right.
So that's where, me personally, and I'm seeing those trends within our clubs for sure.
Yeah, what would you say really drives you? How, I mean, there's a huge drive to get up and at it at 3 in the morning, opening up the gym at 5. What is that drive?
This is going to sound cliche because everybody's going to say it, but transformations, right? That name that goes around way too much because transforming a life physically, I've been doing this for 24 years. I know that can happen, right? But if we can transform their lives, again, I'm going to kick it right back to the mental component, but changing their routine structure, it not only helps said client, but it's going to help their family members, right? Or if they're a CFO, CEO, I have CFOs that I work with, right? A few CEOs too. That's going to be a trickle down effect to their entire organization, their company. So how many lives are we really impacting, right? And that's what drives me. I just got goosebumps right now, right? That's what drives me. Like how many lives can I impact? And it can start with one, right? Like Ed Milet always says, the power of one more, right? Super powerful. And those are things that are key differentiators for me. That's what gets me up Monday through Friday at 3 a.m. Is I know the system works, right? It's just how do we duplicate it across the country to the rest of my franchises?
Absolutely. And it's I mean, that's a beautiful thing that you bring up, the power of transformation and transforming lives. I think across the board, we know that eating healthy, having healthy habits, lifestyle, going to the gym, these are all things that will, move the needle and keep more people healthy, right?
Totally.
So, what have you noticed as far as when it comes to, say, owning a gym or even in personal training? What are some of the biggest challenges that you've seen, at least when it comes to like clients or whatever it
Right.
might be?
It's always going to be overcoming objections, right?
Sure.
How do we overcome objections, right? Um, and that's going to be a common thread and theme. It's value, right? Value. What is your value? If you can't prove to someone, if you can't prove we can solve your why factor, right? Why are you doing this? Why do you want to transform your life? Not
Mm.
just here's a fitness program, right? If we can't solve those, we're dead in the water, so to
Yeah.
speak, if that makes sense, right? So if we can find those dynamics, right? And that's where I think a lot of gym owners go wrong, where they're just thinking, one, they might be assuming the sale, right? Oh, this person's overweight, so they're going to need my services, right? Um, if you can overcome that why factor and have a true reality of what they can be, what they want to be, their vision, right? And feelings are going to be all over the place, right? Feelings, if feeling is driving you, you're stuck in the mud again, right? If we can change their emotions, if we get from I want to do this to I need to do this, I think that's the reality. And we have to be real. We have to be hard with them. We have to have a little bit of mental toughness. Um, and I think that's the key to it, right? You got to be real with people, right? Sometimes they don't want to hear it,
Sure. And
right?
so you've brought up mental toughness a couple times now.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you? And I'll start there.
No problem. Doing the things that you really don't want to do,
Hmm.
right? The things that you don't want to do, you want to drive in, and you want to drive that in their head. It's going to be tough, right? I can bring up all kinds of people that are my personal mentors that I'm blessed. It's free, right? I can listen to a David Goggins every morning, or I can switch it over to Ed Milet if I need something a little bit more business orientated. But when it comes to mental toughness, it all starts with you, right? It all starts with the client, and they have to wake up, get to these quote unquote accountability mirror, right, and face those realities. And that's, I think, a lot of people in this wellness space are afraid to hit those topics because that's a touchy topic,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and hold yourself accountable. And those are lanes that I am not nervous to go to. I will go to every day because that's what that produces the ultimate outcome. Um, and I think it's past a little bit where people do focus on just the sale. When I know the sales will come in if you truly make that transformation physically, mentally, and spiritually, which is very important to me.
Absolutely. And so it's all encompassing. It's the full body, it's the whole person, right? You said physically, mentally, spiritually, right? It has to happen all like holistically, essentially, right? And so when it comes to kind of when you're trying to portray that, what would you say to say somebody like, hey, what's the spiritual aspect of, being a client of
Yeah.
the
Spirituality comes in many forms, right?
yeah,
That's a you know that's a boundary, right, with people.
sure,
Some people, right? Some people aren't. I happen to have God, my higher power,
sure,
but that's okay if someone doesn't, right?
right,
There's spiritual aspects, right? Let's get into even breathing techniques, right? Yoga, things of that nature, anything to get them out of their element, that's spiritual, right? It doesn't have to be just going to church on Sundays or things of that nature. So it's a very broad topic, but people think spiritual is just I go to church and I pray, right? There's so many different aspects to it. And you just have to draw it out of them. If they don't believe in that higher power, they might believe in the tree outside. It doesn't matter to me.
exactly, exactly.
Anything that
Everything can be
uplifts.
spiritual. Everything can
Sure.
be spiritual. And yeah, having gratitude for
Oh,
something like that's spiritual. Um, that it's like, whatever is like meant to be will be, and whatever happens is how it's supposed to happen. I think that is spiritual, right? It doesn't mean you have to believe in something. It means like believe in at least something, right? Not necessarily like you can have one thing or whatever it is, but I see that you're you're
yes, I get goosebumps, Rachel, because it's literally my slogan. I keep things simple. I use the KISS method, right? Grit, grind, gratitude, right? If we can wake up every day and be grateful for something, sorry about that, um, that's going to lead us into a much better day, right?
yeah.
And have a smile on your face when you're looking in the mirror in the morning.
Exactly. It's like there was this I think it was a comic I saw or something where
Yeah.
it's there's two people riding the bus. One person is sitting on like one side of the bus, the other person sitting on the other, and like the other person's like looking outside their window and they're like, just like gloomy and upset and like, oh, like it's a rainy day, like gross, right? And then the other side of the bus, like, wow, it's raining. Like, look at that rainbow outside. Or like, there's just like it's like such a polar opposite. And like, neither one of them is like right or wrong. You can totally be upset that it's raining and like you had plans, or you can be super happy that it's a cozy rainy day inside. But it's like, it's this sense of like how can we implement more gratitude into our daily lives, right? And like I think that's super important to mention as far as even somebody that goes to the gym, right? You have your people that might not see the incremental changes,
Yeah.
but even being proud of themselves for showing up, right? Like showing up that one day and then maybe another day and whatever it is. Maybe they had plans to come in 5 days a week. They came in once. Hey, you came in once. That's great. And
Better than none.
it's better than none.
Correct.
Exactly. What do
Correct.
you feel like in whether it's industry, at your gyms, what's been working well? And what do you feel like you're really focused on improving, whether that's metrics or what have you?
Right. In regards inside the gym, because I've worked for some of the likes, you know, the LA Fitnesses, the exports here in the Midwest of the world, right? As a, you know, a higher scale. Accountability is the key, and people are going to throw that around too. But how do you really hold people accountable,
Yeah.
right? And it goes both ways, right? Sometimes they hold me accountable. Maybe I miss a session. I miss a boot camp. One of my other trainers is doing it. They're like, Scott, where were you? Right? If we can hold on to that accountability, and you don't want to just make it accountable where you're putting all the onus on them, like, hey, what are you doing? Right?
Hmm.
Hold me accountable, right? Or if that workout wasn't up to your par, or we didn't talk nutrition, right? Which I always do. we talk nutrition daily, right? Um, I think that's where a lot of people, especially in the big box, because you get lost, right? I've been in the big box corporate world, right? You get lost, you know, and then next thing you know, you got 40 clients and you don't even know their phone number, right? It's really things of that nature. Holding people accountable and holding yourself accountable. We can go back to the accountability mirror all day, but um, if you're not really passionate about it, what are we in this industry for in the beginning, right?
Yeah. What do you feel like if you could say wave a magic wand and improve or say like have a successful even year, what would that look like or feel like?
Oh, such a successful year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it being, you know, Q4 is rapidly approaching,
Sure.
right? I would love to hit that metrics of 30 points at all my clubs, right? I would love all my franchises to get 30%. You know, industry standard, you want to get to 15%, right? But why not max out, right? 35 would be a major growth rate for us. So if we can get to that 35, with our techniques and what we do on the marketing side, both organically and obviously paid ads, is it's there, it's real,
Yeah.
right? If we can get to that 35 marker, you know, we'd all be sitting pretty.
Yeah.
But even if we had, you know, 20% turn in revenue, we'd be grateful.
That's great. I mean, I think there's I could see it for you. That's
Yeah, thank you,
wonderful.
thank
I
you.
was like, I will spread that energy that way that that happens for you.
Love it.
And what would you say, where do you hope to be in the next 6 to 12 months?
Bill, that's an interesting topic because that topic has come up. Like, where do we move forward in business if you're doing it at this scale? We still consider ourselves small franchises, right? We're a small franchise. Scalability. How do we grow? How do we grow? How do we grow? If we don't find A leaders in this industry, when you're in a multi-club arena, so to speak, if I don't find the A leader at these said clubs to move myself out and position myself out for growth with the company,
Hmm.
we're not scaling. Right. So in the next 6 to 12 months, I have leaders at my clubs and I love them to death. Right. Right. Everybody's got A, B, C, D grades. There's no D's in my team, but everybody's got grades. How can we grow them internally so I can get out there and either do my own clubs to grow those or get as many franchisees as we can? Right. Our model is absolutely super sound, very priced aggressively for the current market. So 6 to 12 months, I'd like to see myself, to be honest, a little more out of the clubs, growing my current managers because they're great people. All nationally certified trainers, all nutrition coaches. One's a licensed massage therapist on top. Um, how do we grow them, turn them into A's, and keep compounding on that?
Mm, yeah, that's amazing. And I like that you kind of are really hyper focused on making sure that everyone is where they need to be. I think where you want everyone to be successful, right?
Yes,
And how
yes.
can you kind of train them up and really see them thrive? Um,
Yes.
what do you think would be a big challenge that you wish you could solve?
Oh man. So great topic, right? Um, so many parameters here, but if there's anything that I could solve, are you pertaining this to inside the clubs or the world in general? Topic of discussion.
Hmm. However you'd like to answer.
I like it. I like it. For for me, you know, we've talked about the mental toughness, anything, hunger. hunger absolutely crushes my world. I do everything I can to volunteer and donate and everything else. We've got some great people out there, but hunger on that scale, right? But when it really comes down to people, I'm going to kick it always back to the mental toughness, because anybody can do anything. I can't stress that enough. My story is highly, very, I did quite well for myself, put it that way. And I had some trials and tribulations, some bumps, some really tough bumps. But what I do know is I worked my tail off to get to that. So if we can help people overcome that mental toughness, because it's all inside here, right? It's all inside here. We can change it. Anybody can change. I'm a firm believer of that. And if we can just help everyone on that component, they can do anything in their lives. It doesn't have to be health and wellness. It can be anything that you aspire to be. And people are just okay with sitting on the back end, or having these racing thoughts in their mind, instead of taking action and getting it done. If we could help people on the mental component, I'd be grateful. Going back to gratitude.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's such a important topic that, like not letting our circumstances dictate our
Oh,
outcomes, right? Like the way that there's so like we can sit there and decide, to not get out of bed in the morning and
small things.
small things, right? But
Yes.
it's really about like really committing to yourself, like you said, your mental toughness and creating life on your terms. So I think that's such a beautiful message and a really great indicator. Like you had mentioned, you have had quite a lot of trials and tribulations in your past, and yet you're creating like just franchises of gyms, and you're not stopping. And I think
No,
that's a really powerful and inspiring message for people that just are stuck, right?
no doubt. And not that I don't want to get off topic at all, Rachel, but my big thing is I was in the big corporate clubs, right? I've done it all. I've owned my own gyms in the past, and all these personal trainers, they're wonderful people, right? One thing I do know is they're making a lot of money for that big box, right? When they can do it. They just don't want to take that next step or take action to break out on their own and create their own journey.
Mm,
Um, huge topic of discussion. Something I lose sleep at night over, trying to help personal trainers break out on their own, for sure.
yeah, I think that's great. And so, with our closing thoughts,
Yeah,
what would you like to, yeah, where can people find you? What
yeah,
would you like to leave and let our audience know?
absolutely. So you can always find us at good old Aira Fitness. We can leave all the websites and links, and who we are. We can leave all that. But Scott Hejna, you can find me on every social site possible. We are powered by Hit 5 Training, which is my personal brand. We are blessed to have that 24 years of experience that I have, all in one format, and that's the beauty of Aira Fitness. We combine 24/7 gyms, personal training, boot camps, and nutrition coaching. Again, we keep it simple, but we maximize all four of those aspects.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Scott. It's been a pleasure having you on here today, and I very much look forward to hearing what our audience has to say. Thank you
Thank
again.
you so much, Rachel.